welcome to Upstart Footy Preview ahead of a very, very large round of AFL action. In the words of Rebecca Black, it's Friday. Everyone get down on Friday. Get ready for the weekend because it will be massive. I'm Ben Waterworth, and he's a little down at the moment. Not only did his Western Bulldogs lose, but he was supposed to be singing with Olivia Newton-John on Friday night with Melbourne and Carlton, but he was just, pushed away by Jim Steins. John Takemura, good to see you again, Foss.
Yeah, good to see you, Benny. Yeah, I thought me and Olivia were like that. We were about to perform, but Jimmy just came in and took it away.
You run so bad. Round 11 kicks off tonight with Essendon hosting Melbourne at the MCG. Melbourne was involved in Friday night football last weekend, Jonathan, and it was disgraceful. It was like watching grown men play Auskick football. It was that bad. Melbourne are depleted through injuries at the moment. Well, the Bombers will probably be better for the week off. They'll win very easily against the D's.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Benny. Joe Watson to come back from injury.
Oh, not maybe. Is that he's going to come back?
I'm led to believe he's coming back.
Right.
But he will have to pass a fitness test. Yep. Melbourne accused of playing bruise-free football by some Carlton players during the week. And I expect them to come out hard, but Essendon to win well.
Yep. I think there'll be a few texts going back and forth between your good self and I on Saturday afternoon, JTech, when my Geelong side takes on your Western Bulldogs side. Doggies, very disappointing. Easily probably the most disappointing team of the year, while Geelong is going great guns, undefeated, almost, walking down the street John Travolta style, collar up, leather jacket, sunglasses on. They're going magnificently at the moment. And down at Skilled Stadium, where it's very, very tough to beat them, I think the Dogs will struggle.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there, Benny. I saw the Doggies play last week live in the flesh, and they really struggled to put a score on the board. And Geelong at Skilled Stadium, very strong down there, in good form. And I'm sorry to say, but I think the Cats will win by 10 goals plus.
Just your heart breaking there, JTech?
Pretty much.
Okay, all right. It's the Battle of the Coasts, version 1, that is, when West Coast Eagles host Gold Coast Suns, Patterson Stadium, I should say, Saturday afternoon. Carmichael Hunt kicked his first goal in AFL football, one of the best moments of the season so far, but then gets suspended. So he's missing a week and will probably play a couple of weeks in the reserves after that as well. Gold Coast have been good this season, but it's a very, very difficult task for them to go over to Perth and beat the Eagles, who will be desperate to make amends for last week's loss to Collingwood. I think the Eagles will do it very easily. Yeah,
2 words, West Coast.
That's it? That's all you're giving us?
Yep.
The JTAC has spoken. Cast your mind back to September last year, JTAC. Of course, Collingwood and St Kilda are in the grand final, and Bruce McAvaney at the end goes, "It's going to be a draw. It's unbelievable," as only Bruce could say. And of course, St Kilda and Collingwood played out the third drawn grand final in AFL history. Came back the next week, did the Pies, and pulled the Saints' pants down, gave them a bit of a slap around the buttocks, left a massive red mark. And I get the feeling when the two teams play on Saturday night that something very, very similar will occur.
Yeah, I think so there, Benny. Particularly if Brendan Goddard doesn't play. Surely he can't play after what happened to him last week.
Yeah, surely not.
I think the Saints might be in a bit of trouble in this one, and Collingwood should win and win very, very well.
The Sydney Swans travel up to the Sunshine State to take on the Brisbane Lions on Saturday night at the Gabba. Don't know about you, JTAC, but I haven't been too impressed with the Swans of late. Very poor in the second half against Port Adelaide a few weeks ago. Then was smashed by the Hawks and only just got over the line against the Roos. I haven't been too convinced about them. I give the Lions every chance here, especially with Jay Brown back. He's back for 2 weeks and the Lions have won the past 2 weeks. I think I'm actually going to tip Brisbane here. I reckon they're in a bit of form. I reckon get on the Lions.
I've got to agree with you there, Benny. I think Sydney have been very, very disappointing last couple of weeks. So let's be honest. Last week they pretty much got away with it against North Melbourne.
Yep.
2 wins since Jonathan Brown's come back in the team, and I think he can make it 3. I'm just not sure who's going to be able to really match up on him.
Yep. A young and injury-depleted Dockers travel across the Nullarbor to play Hawthorn at the MCG on Sunday afternoon. Hawks, big blow during the week. They've lost Chance Bateman, as you Adelaide or East Brighton people like to say. Chance Bateman out for 6 weeks with an ankle injury. I don't think that'll deter the Hawks too much. Dockers, I think, are a little bit unexperienced. And Hawthorn, I reckon at the moment, Hawthorn should be sponsored by Lay's or Thins chips because they chip the ball around like you would not believe. Number 1 for short kicks, number 1 for marks. And I think the Dockers players will be quite impatient and I think we'll get thumped by Hawthorn on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, watching Hawthorn in the flesh on last Sunday, 180 marks the Bulldogs let them have with these short kicks. It was just chip, 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 and in the end kick a goal.
Good for the DT. Very
Absolutely.
good for the DT.
Yes. About 6 Hawthorn players got over 120 last week.
Yep.
But yeah, Freo, no Sanderlands. It showed last week against St Kilda, and I can't see him winning across the Nullarbor here in Melbourne.
North Melbourne take on Adelaide at Etihad Stadium on Sunday afternoon. We're introducing a new segment here on the Upstart Footy Preview. It's called J-Tax Attack. John Takemura is going to put the blowtorch, the magnifying glass, the binoculars on a certain team each week. And this weekend, John, who is the team that you have got your sight firmly set on?
Adelaide and Neil Craig. They have been very, very disappointing in the past few weeks. Ever since Neil Craig came out in the media and showed at a press conference the tough acts of his players, or supposed tough acts of his players, which I didn't think were that tough anyway. They put in some pretty ordinary performances. They got flogged by Melbourne. They got close to Collingwood, which was quite surprising.
How the heck does that happen? They perform for 3 quarters against Collingwood, the best team in the comp, and then they lose to a team that's by 40 points, a team that's won 1 game for the season. How does that happen?
Absolutely no idea. I think it's clearly a mental issue and a lack of effort and work rate. And Neil Craig's gone on about how the high standards that he sets, they have to stay. So I'm expecting them to come out hard this week against North Melbourne, who really have to win as well. But I'm going for the Roos, mate. I think Adelaide's season is shot.
Yeah, I think Roos...
And Neil Craig might be out of a job too.
Roos for mine as well. But Adelaide, the binoculars are on. Round 11 concludes with a blockbuster game between Port Adelaide and Carlton at Amy Stadium on Sunday afternoon. For all those playing at home, that was extremely sarcastic. Don't think Carlton have too many difficulties with this one. Although Port, good win against the Tigers last weekend. They're obviously much better prepared, I should say, than what the Tigers were. Still, how would you be feeling being a Port Adelaide player at the moment? You just won a really good game, but of course the licensing issue, JTAC.
Yes, Port Adelaide apparently are going to have the AFL take over their licence until Adelaide Oval is built in 2013. Jeez. The SANFL, who currently own the licence of Port Adelaide, do not have any money left, basically. And they also own Adelaide as well with the licence. So Adelaide are going to take back their licence. The AFL will run Port Adelaide. And Port Adelaide, who are $2 million in the red already, they're in a bit of trouble, and Carlton will win this game very easily.
Yeah, I think they're in a lot of trouble, Port Adelaide. Well, that's all we have time for on Upstart Footy Preview. John Takemura, your work has been absolutely crisp as always. I'm sure Olivia Newton-John will one day sing with you.
Thanks very much, mate.
No worries. And make sure you stay tuned to Upstart, of course, the website for emerging journalists.